What is up, everybody? Welcome to another live Pendergast podcast on this beautiful Sunday afternoon, or depending on where you are at in the world right now. It's cold. Thank God it stopped snowing. But it's an honor today, ladies and gentlemen, to sit down with not only my friend but the legend Rory Brown. But before we get into this episode, it is sponsored by Next Level Financial. Take control of your financial future. Get your complimentary financial analysis today by Seth Starnes. Everybody knows who Seth is. He's a suspension specialist, a track day junkie, a racer, top-notch character. Man, I love Seth to death, and everybody that's ever met him loves him too. He's now on the financial side of things too, so he will help you get to the track and save that money, which is very, very important, right? Put you in a budget and all that. He's actually sponsoring some riders in Moto America, but when I have him back on, he'll tell you all about that. And Roy, I tell everybody this: don't buy an off-the-rack suit, because for 90% of us, it's not going to fit you correctly. When you do not have a suit that fits you correctly, it causes all kinds of issues on the motorcycle. So my recommendation is bison.com, bisontrack.com. Sorry, get your full custom suit tailored, specifically measured for you. Trust me, you deserve it. You love yourself. Get that custom suit. It will make 100 times difference. Trust me. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, it's an absolute honor today on this Sunday to sit down with Rory Brown. What is up?
Just living another day in paradise, enjoying the last 2 weeks of snow.
Right? We got the first storm that come through. It was snow, but it was so cold it just immediately froze and it was ice. The snow we got the other day was only like 2 inches and it's soft, so it's like this muddy mess out everywhere right now. So yeah, I feel you on that. And to everybody that don't know, Rory, where are you located at?
About 30 minutes south of Lake Erie, just underneath Cleveland and Akron, Ohio. So we're within 90 minutes of 3 different racetracks between Nelson's Ledges, Mid-Ohio, and Pittsburgh International. We have a pretty good selection on hand.
Absolutely, you do. I'm jealous. I don't live that close to any tracks. I'm about an hour and 30 minutes away from VIR, so that's my closest track, which I'm not complaining at all, right? Because I love VIR, and anybody that's ever been there absolutely loves it too. And I'm so glad it's back on the Moto America calendar.
Right, that is a fun track.
It is. Have you been there?
Oh, absolutely. I started off my career in the South, and that was one of my home tracks when I started out. So, yeah, I've done well there. I love that place. It's got a great feel to it and great grip. The maintenance there, I don't know, the whole facility is definitely glad to see back on the schedule.
Absolutely. It's when you go to racetracks, I look at it as my friends that actually race and the spectators that show up, how good it is for them. VR is one of those tracks to where, you can walk around, you meet everybody. It's not so wide open like some of the other tracks are. It's actually kind of confined to certain areas, and you can still see the whole track wherever you go, especially if you go there, stand behind the garages, next to the garages, you can see all the way from like 12 all the way down to 17 and halfway down the front straight, which is not really a straight, people. It's curves to the right. It's got a little hump, and then let's go. So anyway, Roy, listen, I'm so excited to get into this. Tell us your journey and your story. Where did it start with you on the wonderful world of twos?
Well, start in the two-wheel motorcycle racing. I guess that's where we started off. I went to Laguna Seca for just watching the race in '99 or something like that, '98, and they were having the Aprilia Cup demo bikes there, and I signed up to ride a demo bike on track. And being the idiot at 16 or 17 I was at the time, I decided to, see what this thing could do out there, having fun, and I immediately had to have one afterwards. So we went out and bought an Aprilia Cup race bike for the 1999 inaugural Aprilia Cup Challenge. Uh, that being said, it was kind of a team effort, family effort. My dad bought the bike, my brother and I raced it. We ended up starting off at Road Atlanta, where I learned how to crew before I learned how to race so much. We all came off our street years thinking we knew stuff right into the AMA paddock racing against some really great, some legends, and really privileged to be there, and we didn't even know it. So thanks for karma getting us in the right spot at the right time. Um, but yeah, we were qualifying about fifth that weekend. First time ever on a racetrack, and we're at a national level. And my brother decided to high side at turn 7, so made my job easy. He's got a broken collarbone. I get to take the weekend off. I'm roaming around the pits, making friends, and kind of going starstruck. Oh wow, Duhamel. Oh Yates. Oh my goodness. And in the meantime, a couple other people picked me up. I remember Hopkins grabbed my arm and said, "Hey man, I saw you working the dash on these things. Do you know how to pull up the data on these?" And I was like, "I got you, bro." Went over there. John Hopkins is like looking over my shoulder as I'm punching up his data. I'm like, "Dude, it says you got 10 miles an hour faster on the back straight than me. Is this true?" And of course it's true. The dude's weighing like 100 pounds less than my rider. I'm like, "Damn it." So making friends right from the get-go, and then we're trying to straighten out the frame after it comes back from the crash. Even though that my brother's wadded up, I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe we can find a way to get the bike on the track, and we'll figure out a way to get another rider on. I don't know. So we go across the pits, and I borrow some string line to do the old wheel string alignment trick. And it's Steve Grigg, who's pitted across from me. And I'm like, "Yo, it's nice to meet you. I heard you're from Asheville. I'm from there too. Do you mind helping a local out?" And he comes on over, and very crazy Steve way, flamboyant. "Let me show you this. Pull this out. Got that. Line that up. Oh, you're fine. Send it. Send it. Send it." All right. Love this guy. All right.
Yeah, Steve and Riston are some of the most amazing people you ever meet. I love them to death too.
Great energy in that family, and that was my first race weekend at the track. So after that, I got my race within 2 weeks after that. I had the bike all bandaged up, and we were going to Wira for South Carolina Motorsports, CMP. Um, Signed up with Wira, what sportsman's class we had, but we did 3 different classes. Started off with a fifth, a fourth, and I crashed out in third as I was getting hungry for the box, going for a second. But first time on the track myself, and eyes are always bigger than reality sometimes.
Absolutely.
Those were my first weekends. So I started off as kind of like crew chiefing, figuring out like how to like build something that's not going to kill somebody on the racetrack. And then I got a chance to prove myself and win a few pieces of hardware. From then on out, we went down to Jennings, ran a few rounds with CCS, started beating some of the people that were mentioned in the Young Guns classifieds, the road racing world, started getting my little, once again, 17-year-old ego built way up. It was really nice. But it also kept me going. So I pushed harder and got into more races, came back up to VIR, started getting, seconds and thirds and CCS, lightweight GP at the time. And then once again, ran into Steve up in my hometown. Someone said, "You should go check on him, go stop by his shop and say hi." And within a weekend or two, he's got me on. It's hard to believe it's such a jump from a 250 to a Muzzy Raptor, but yes, that's what happened in about 14 days. Is I'm riding around 60 horsepower at 300 pounds, and then he goes, I meet Steve, and he goes, "Here you go, let me give you a Raptor, Muzzy Raptor, and put you on that and see how you do." And I didn't exactly know what to do with that kind of a horsepower to weight ratio at the time, but it was certainly fun trying. And that was my race bike for the next couple of years. So I did that for about 2 years. Took me about 6 months to get comfortable with the bike and actually gel. But once I did, I got to within about 5 seconds off lap record at Roebling Road. Had some good results. Did some clean sweeps of a weekend here and there. Nothing too special, all in the grand scheme of things, because boy, oh boy, there's some freaking fast people out there. So I was just happy to be playing with the big boys, so to speak. And let's see, after a little bit, I had an injury that set me out for about 18 months to 2 years. It was the very time-consuming rehabilitation to come back from, and during that time, I started spending time focusing on wrenching and building, and I actually started building custom bikes, custom Ducatis, and managed the whole kind of blend the whole race desire into the custom building world. And a couple of my bikes did pretty good in shows. I won a few first place in contests. I got into a few magazines. People seemed to like what I was doing, so I kept on doing it. Before I know it, I was getting lost in building bikes instead of coming back to racing, which kind of like woke me up. I was looked up one day after 7 or 8 years doing it, going, "Why the fuck am I not racing again?" And went back out, started coaching with some of my local coach organizations, track organizations, fast tracks up here in Northeast Ohio. Her track days out in Southern California with Sarah Zomo. Thank you so much. And things progressed, knocked some rust off. We got back on pace, and within about a year of doing that, I was control riding at my local track, and Arma was coming through, and I got asked to control ride with Arma, and got picked up for some more racing. They asked if I'd come along and follow the tour with them, and if I'd be interested in racing with Arma. So I said, sure. Last year, I've been racing with Arma. Short story there. That's long story short.
I love it. I love it. How did you? Okay, I got a lot of questions off of that little story you just told. First is the Muzzy Raptor. Always been one of my favorite bikes in the world. I remember when I first seen it, I was like, "Oh my god, are you kidding me right now? What a beautiful bike!" The solo swing arm, the flat slide carburetors. It was an 850. It was, and I remember meeting Steve. I'm going through my old pictures because I have a picture of me and Steve next to that Muzzy Raptor in '97, I think it was. 96, something like that. 98, one of those years, right? We're giving away our age right now, especially when you mentioned the road racing world when the magazine was this big, right? In the back of the classified sections, they had all the up and coming riders and racers. And yeah, again, giving away our age, right? Now, magazines, what's a magazine, right? Everything's digital now in these days. But the Muzzy Raptor, what was it like actually riding that thing?
Uh, Coming from somebody who's actually ridden several different street bikes and had different track time and was really confident on holding their own, it was like giving the weapon was so finely tuned and so far beyond what I needed training for. Like you needed a special training course just to handle that. Like the first gear, when they say you can do 120 in first gear, and like that's right where it wants to be. It's like, no, you're not redlining anything. That's where you have to be in first gear. And until you get there, that clutch is very much your friend. You're feathering it out the whole time until you can get up to speed. Otherwise, that Daytona gearbox is gonna eat you alive off the starting lines. There's all sorts of things you have to get used to. The way the bike drifts back then actually was kind of unique for back then. It was a very well handling bike that could have those qualities. Nowadays, all these bikes have qualities where you can just drift them, handle them through the corners like nobody's business. But back then, that was certainly a rare package that balanced out really well. And I think it just perfected what superbikes were back in the day, which was a purpose-built machine. And yeah.
And it's beautiful. It's one of the most gorgeous bikes you ever see, and I see you got your Ducati in the background with your leathers hanging up. Is that a 748 frame chassis? And what
Yeah,
is that?
we're running a 996 with a 1000 DS motor. Currently working on some other motor options. We have a couple other bikes around. I'm not going to show you right now, but an SV650 that we just got into the team that we're going to build back up for some training and lightweight purposes. And I am building a 999 for one of my other friends that's wanting to start racing this year because I'm branching out and trying to bring others into the sport. My goal is to see how many new people I can bring into the road racing world this year and expand our family.
Absolutely. I love to hear it, right? Because that's what we need is more love for the sport. Absolutely. Where did your love start with Ducatis? I remember when I first seen my first one coming off the Navy base. I was like, Dad, what is that? And he's like, that's a Ducati. It's Italian. It's like the Ferrari of motorcycles, all this and the misconceptions about them. And yeah, it was the first bike that I ever seen that moved my soul in a way that no other bike did before that or almost since then, right? So yeah, that's where my love affair for them comes. Since then, I've owned many of them. They are the older generations are temperamental, right? They like what they like. They don't like what they don't like. The newer ones, not so much because all the electronics and the technology and all this stuff. But it's one of those bikes when you ride it, it just makes you feel special. I can't explain it. You know, you throw your leg over it. It's just something about it. It just, yeah,
They have it.
absolutely amazing.
Sure. I think I was about 7 years old when my dad's friend rode his first monster over to the house, and like just being old enough to like almost think I could like ride and like get on it. I'm like, yeah, that looks like something I would like to throw a leg over and ride. Let's do that. And it just seemed cool, like the way it would. I don't know. I've seen other bikes at that time. It's not like I hadn't seen tons of bikes as a kid, but that bike just stood out. It like seemed different, and like I don't know. And the more I got into them, the more I fell in love with them. As especially as like I became to work on them. Actually, as I became a Ducati mechanic and started working on them more. Um, what people call the quirkiness and the weirdness of them, I found to be almost like a simpler version of whatever's going on. Like, yeah, the Japanese bikes are great. I love doing valve jobs to get a lot of stuff done on those things. But like, the ducks are fairly simple too. You have like a problem on something. Some of these things are a lot quicker on Ducatis. So I'm happy working on mine, especially my 2 valve.
They're definitely a lot simpler than a 4 valve, but again, it's just a tool what we use to get around the racetrack, and they're all fairly simple to work on. Especially the 748, 916, all the way up through the 9. I've never had an opportunity to work on a 999, but the 916, that whole style, it's like you can rip it down literally in like 5 seconds. You got everything off tank, all body work, tail section, the whole nine, everything's right there. Nowadays you go work on a brand new R1, it takes you 4 hours just to get all the fucking body work off this thing. You're like, what the hell? So yeah, it's life was simpler back then. So let me ask you this: how did you get into the whole mechanical side of thing? I started at a young age, growing up riding dirt bikes with my buddies. They showed me how to pull the carb off, blah 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 blah. And then when I got in high school, I bought my first street bike. I was like, you know what? I took it to a shop. Pipe header, jet kit, ignition, advanced, yada yada yada. They could never get it running, so I brought it back home. Ordered a shop manual. Took me about 10 hours the next day, and I did it all myself. And from then, I was like, you know what? My bike's never going to another stealership again, is what I call them. And yeah, so I went to MMI, and yeah, I've been turning wrenches ever since.
I think what got us away from the shop into doing it ourselves was we had a recall on one of our bikes, TL1000, that got steering dampener, if you don't recall. And they gave the bike back with a dent in the gas tank where the mechanic dropped his 3/8 drive right next to the gas cap and left like a nice quarter-sized little ding right there. And the response was, "That's okay, isn't it? Like, that's not a problem, right?" Instead of like buying a new tank, whatever. And like to have to go through the process of like explaining to people like doing the right thing and whatever was very difficult. So I found it's best. And the further I gotten along in this industry and in sport, the more I realize this to be true. If you want something done right, do it yourself, keep it in house. From doing your own suspension work to building your own motors to doing whatever. I mean, if you have control over your timeline, your build, your essentially your own production, your quality, there's no one to blame but yourself if anything goes wrong. And if you know what you're doing halfway, you're going to get this done right. So, it's almost like there's manuals out there for it. But I've been doing it for so long. I've had the privilege of having such good bosses, coaches, people that have worked and been above me that have shown me the ropes, that I have really been blessed with having some good teachers in my life.
I love it. Right? Yeah, that's what it's all about, and you learn so much. It's like this is how I explain it to everybody. I consider a motorcycle just like a queen, right? They're all temperamental in their own ways. They all like certain things. They like to be handled in certain ways, right? So, uh, I get joy and it calms my mind when I sit down and actually work on my own bike. You know, it's and this was back before YouTube. Now you can get on there roaring YouTube any fucking thing. I don't care what it is. YouTube, how do I replace clutch plates on this bike? Boom. There's a million videos out there. Now they're not all right, but you still get a gist of how to do it. If you got any common sense, you're good.
Yeah, I get you.
So listen, getting into road racing. Did you ever grow up riding on the street before you actually got into racing, or?
My childhood started off on two wheels doing triathlons. So I was racing triathlon bikes like back with Lance Armstrong back in the day before I even came into road racing. So I started off at 7 years old doing triathlons, going to national Olympic training camps and all sorts of other very highly athletic like lifestyles until I was 14, and then I made my dad ride a CBR 600 F3 at the Honda Hoot when it came to Asheville, North Carolina, and he immediately got off that bike, drove to the dealership, bought a CBR 600 F3. It was in our garage by that evening. That's how fast the addiction hit us. Within a year, we had like a TL and a few other sport bikes, and we were hooked. We were always going to the track. We bought a couple Ducatis. We bought a Ducati CR. We bought a Monster, a few Monsters. We love Monsters. Those things are beautiful.
They are.
And we just, started doing things ourselves. We had our own machine shop in the house. We went as far as to prototype a 1100 Desmo, actually, or not 11, but a 1200 Desmo blueprint. We have, before they came out with the 1100, we were working on improving stuff for our own bikes because we were building our own frames and making our own custom bikes. And one of the things we wanted to do was offer our own motor. And so in order to do that, we had to get CNC cases, and we figured while we're at it, we might as well find out a way to bump the CCs up. So due to a couple of clearance issues, we found to turn down and thin down some spots, we could get up to 1200 Desmos and without going big bore past 100 millimeter pistons and throwing coffee cans around. So we really have invested a lot in this sport. We really do love it, and not everything comes to fruition, not everything works out, but good, bad, or ugly, it's taught us a lot along the way.
Oh, absolutely. That's part of being hands-on and learning and evolving with it, right? Because the sport evolves and you got to evolve with it as far as the mechanical side of things too. And you also do welding. I was going through, obviously, and searching you on Facebook and all that good stuff. And I seen you in the welding mask hat. So I don't know how to weld, right? Where did that? So you do everything, building frames, cranks, the whole nine, putting everything together. Where did that love come from?
My father's stern kicking my ass. He determined that his father had never taught him much, and he was not going to be the same type of father that his father was. So he wanted to teach me as many things as possible, regardless of my interest in them. So sometimes I wasn't the most appreciative of the moments, but thank you, Dad, for teaching me how to weld. I can do fairly well right now. Exactly. He'd be proud of this moment. But yeah, basically from relentless mockery from my father that I can't weld, I eventually learned how to weld.
I love it. I've tried it one time, and that's it. I'd like to learn how to weld too. It's a good skill to have. It's. I feel like a lot of the fair trade jobs nobody's really going after anymore. And welding is one of those skilled jobs. Just because you can weld, can you really weld? Right? It's like just because you can ride, can you really understand what you're doing when you're riding? Kind of deal. So yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it goes along with all that keeping it in the house and not having to send things out, and not having to worry about time delays and relying on other people. I'm also a machinist and blueprint reader. Like I can write and read blueprints, and I went to community college for machinist, so I could work a lathe in a mill.
You're amazing. We already knew it, right? And this just confirms it. I wish I had all those skills, right? I can build motors and I've worked on my bikes forever, but CNC machining, I have no clue. You show me a lathe, I'll look at it and be like, okay, yeah, that's a lathe. I have no idea what I'm doing, you know?
I refuse to do CNC because I like to do a little bit of the hand stuff because I don't do things. I do prototypes, so I'll just do one-offs on blueprints or whatever.
That's awesome. And do you build these for customers and sell them to the public, or?
We have in the past. We have found the customers are very ornery sometimes, and kind of like when you're buying like a high-end product like that where everything's done specially custom the way they want it. It's like taking orders along the way 100%. Like you almost got to check in with them on a daily basis, and honestly, I'm not that much of a people person. I'd rather be like in the back of the shop sometimes where I can be like, the boss is over there. I'm sorry, don't talk to me, go away. And I'll do my job like that because, well, sometimes, whatever the case may be, yeah. But no, I don't do a customer base.
No, I want to touch real quick on the Ducati Monster. My brother had one and my cousin had one, and I find myself every time I threw a leg over it and I took her out. Yes, I consider motorcycles women, right? Every time I took this beautiful woman out for a ride, I was almost getting in trouble because I couldn't keep the front wheel down, and I was just laughing and giggling so much in my head. Versus I get on my ZX6R and ride at home or whatever bike I had at the time. I'm like, yeah, this is just not as fun. Nowhere near as fun as that monster I just climbed off of, right? But again, it speaks volumes of the Street Fighter bikes and how fun they really are to ride on the street, more practical wise, especially for the street. That's why I love the Super Hooligan class too, because it's the Street Fighter, S class. Let's fucking go, people! Right when they introduced it, I was like, Roland Sands, dude. Bow down, you're a god for doing this, right? It's absolutely amazing. It's one of my favorite classes. Now I got a lot of friends that actually race in it. Speaking of which, what are your plans for 2025? What can we see you back out there on the track, taking those trophies again?
It's going to be probably a slow start to 25 for me. I am still working on a little bit of retooling, trying to fine tune my my weapons for 2025. We were slightly off on horsepower last year, and I'm trying to remedy that before we get into the season. I'd rather sacrifice a round or two, get the proper package and performance level under me, so that way I can go about the rest of the season where I want to be time-wise and speed-wise. Last year was kind of a gauging post to see just where I would end up. With totally stock motor, no bells or whistles thrown at anything. Totally stock suspension, no bells or whistles thrown at that. I mean, bone stock. Everything. So all I did was basically ride a stock bike with a swap motor and saw where it would take me. And I was kind of surprised. So I was like, okay, we're going to go about this again, but we have to retool a little bit. And we're definitely going to be in some rounds this year. At some point in the next 18 months, I do hope to make a push for a wild card, maybe at Mid Ohio on some Super Hooligans, but I got to find out what the rules are going to be a little bit further. They've made some rule changes this year, and I want to stay kind of up to date and in front of them, so I don't get caught spending a lot of money on things that change from time to time. It's a very limited budget I have to run with, so when I decide on what package and what performance I'm going to go with, it's got to be a certainty.
Oh, 100%. And the Super Hooligan class, there's so many rule changes and changes they got to implement just because there's so many very wide range of motorcycles in that class. Horsepower, weight, the whole nine. I couldn't imagine the headache I would have if I had to come up with all the rules for that class. I'd be like, So yeah, it's an amazing class. I love to see the different manufacturers and the different style of motorcycles, not just your crotch rockets as everybody refers to sports bikes, right? It opens up a whole new world to people that they're like, hey, I can buy a KTM 890 and go racing. I can, buy, because it was last year Alessandro Di Mario was on the V4 Street Fighter Ducati at Texas, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Was that Texas? I
Oh,
can't remember what round.
yeah, for one of those last rounds. Yeah, him and Hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and coming up with the rules and the packages, and that's why I like Super Sport too. And I feel like Super Sport's going to be the future Superbike class, and the Superbikes ain't going to be the main class anymore. And I love to see, the baggers in there, because the baggers helped Moto America where it is now, and I love it. It's great. Some of my friends, they're so against Indians and Harleys, and I was like, have you ever been to a Moto America race and watched them? I try to take them all the time, and they're like, I don't want to go watch that shit. I'm like, bro, you're missing out. What they do for our sport is absolutely amazing to watch. Kyle Wyman and Troy Heffross and all of them just throw those machines around. Max Flinders, you're like, holy shit.
They're super fast and they draw a crowd. Everyone loves to see baggers banging elbows and luggage racks flying open at 180 going down Daytona. It's what people get excited about. So yeah, obviously it's going to put fans in seats. And once again, kudos to Rollins for putting together that whole package. Thank you, Rollins.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rollins. Nothing but love, because, bro, what a great idea. It really was. You know what I'd love to see is the first 3 podium finishes come in and actually have like a 6-pack of beer in one of those bags and open it up, and just crack a cold one right there on the podium, right? That would be absolutely proper mega, as I always say. Because yes,
that they don't have any more races after the race of that day, because usually they're racing so much that they have another race right afterwards. So that's the problem behind that. You have to be careful.
No drinking and riding, people. But yes, let's say last race of the day, the baggers, if it's the baggers, yeah, bring it on in. Actually have, real products in the bags, like the normal people would come back and forth. Plus, to me, in my personal opinion, what it did was, back in the day when we were growing up, there was, even though we're on 2 wheels, it was a separation between your sports bikes and your cruisers, I'll say, right? Where the cruisers are like, oh, it's sports bikes, blah, 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 blah. Now that they're racing, it brought everybody together, which we should have been like that from the get-go. But here we are, we got new people in the paddock. Now when Bike Week goes on in Daytona, everybody knows they can go to watch the 200, right? And there's a lot more people there because of that. And it's helping our sport grow, which is a beautiful thing. And at the end, that's what we want.
Definitely. It's been nice to see the growth. I think that's one of the classes that they did hit the nail on the head on. It's awkward and kind of not knowing how it was going to go through when it first came out, but seeing progression, I think it's really been doing well.
Oh, absolutely, it has. And they're big money in those bikes. They're not cheap, and they're not. Yeah, I don't know how they compare to super bikes, but I'm willing to bet that they are probably more expensive than a super bike would be.
Certainly every bit as much. I've been up close with 1 or 2 that are very closely built to that. And to look at all the things they have on there, from the swing arms to the shocks to the whole design, and not to mention what's in the motor, is just financially irresponsible.
But I also love it too, Roy, because they're making those parts available for the public, right? So you can go out and buy those parts and put them on your bagger or cruiser or whatever it is.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's the whole point, is to make it so, like, I think they actually are selling some clone-made ones. The companies that made these bikes, they have clones that they're selling for sale, which are exact replicas of the race bikes for customers.
It's beautiful. I haven't seen one riding around on the street. We have a local Harley dealership down the road. I need to pop in there and see if they have any on hand, so I could maybe do a live video while I'm there, right? Of course, I got to ask permission. Hey, you don't mind if I come in and do a live video? Looking at the bike, they might just be like, get out, right? We know, get out. We don't want you. No, I'm just playing. Nothing but love to everybody in our beautiful circus, as I always call it. We're all family. We're not friends. We're family. And that's what I love about our sport. It's immediate bondage. It's not just, trying to get to know somebody. Of course, you got to take the steps, but you know what I mean, or everybody knows what I mean when I say that. It's an absolute proper mega and beautiful thing to be a part of and witness, right? So 2024, did you do any races in 2024, coaching or?
I had a pretty busy year in 2024. I started out hitting as many days as I could. At one point, I think I rode for like 7 or 8 weekends straight between fast tracks, racing with Arma, going to run with STT, and a couple other ones. But yeah, I had like 7 weeks back to back, and after like 7 weeks of like Friday, Saturday, Sunday on the track, Friday, Saturday, Sunday on the track, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday traveling, Thursday set up, Friday, Saturday, Sunday on the track. That's a relentless schedule, and yeah, I had a really busy year last year. I loved it. It was one of my favorites ever. Um, Definitely started out with a lot of time kind of up here at my local boys with fast tracks, um, turning times at Nelson's Ledges, getting down, getting fast. We did some um, Ducati Revs days we participated in. Got to ride with PJ here at our home track. That was a fun day. After that, we had Arma come through, and that's when both Leisha and Jim Corrin, the referee, both came up to me and asked if I was going to be interested in following their circuit and riding with them. And I told them, definitely, I appreciate the invite, and I'd definitely be along. So I pretty much came to the next round, which was New Jersey, which was my first race back in quite a while. Um, Went out for SOT2, went from 39th to 10th-ish within the first corner, something like that. Like, or 29th to 10th in the first corner. Like, we had like a 10 people pass in the first corner, and dodging road cones getting thrown at me from super motards, controlling nice new asphalt slides, which that asphalt is so butterly smooth. It's a pleasure to drift on. Totally fun. Had a great race there. Ended up 10th one, 9th in the other, but still started off with like, 10, the very back row. So I was very happy with that first race. Next one, we went to Black Hawk Farms, racing with, excuse me, in between then, we did an all girls day. I went to all girls day at Sport Bike Track Time with Kit and Owen. And I want to say thanks to Kit and Owen for having me out. It was a great time to be out there. You guys are amazing. Yes, much love to everybody out there. Audubon was great. It was a kind of a hit and miss weekend with the rain, but we made the best of it. And it was great because like within a couple of weeks of that, we went up to Black Hawk Raceway to race with Arma again. So within like 2 or 3 weeks, I was racing with Arma at Black Hawk, and I managed to get my first win there. I got a second to Wes Orloff, who is a hell of a competitor. Thanks for being there, Wes. You bang elbows with the best of them. And I had time to kind of take it all in for a minute. Like, that was a nice moment. And after that, we were headed down to Pittsburgh. We went to Pittsburgh for my first time there. So these are all tracks I've never been to before because I'm usually from the South and doing that. So I'm learning tracks as I go. Pittsburgh, I coached for Arma, and I also raced Arma. It was a difficult weekend. I'm going to be happy with the fact I didn't go down.
It's always a good weekend.
We were in the first race. We were in position to make passes on the leader, had him within sights, but we had a red flag in the race. Helicopter came out. We had some crazy diversion we had to deal with. Thanks to the Arma crew, we were able to get everything back going. Thanks, Arma. Good job. Everyone was safe. Thanks to the corner workers and fast response to the EMTs. Everybody was on point. Thanks to there, which meant that we could continue the weekend. Unfortunately for me, in the second race, I was only managed to get a third place. So I brought home a third place for my real overall on that one, which was a little heartbreaking. But in the scheme of things, I will totally take it for the fact that we all walked out of there more or less with just stories to tell and nothing too sad.
That's
Um,
right.
there was definitely some events going on, an eventful weekend, but like everything, it's just the way it is. And um, I learned a lot from that track. It's one of my favorite tracks. The undulation, the grip, the design of the track was phenomenal. It's definitely one of my favorites, up there with Barber and VIR. Um, it just seems to be like built by somebody who likes to race.
Right. Not computer built, a
No,
real racetrack.
and that was pretty much my 2024. I've had some private coaching days in between there where I worked with some individuals that I brought along and try to knock some times off. And one of my rules is every time we go out, we drop time. Doesn't matter if it's tenths of seconds or seconds. We start off slow and just slowly progress. And both my students and I both have been doing that throughout the years. So I've been super pleased with our progress, and I'm looking forward to seeing what 2025 is going to have for us. We weren't that far off pace this year, even with the bike that was down 30 horsepower on competition. Not trying to complain. I'm very happy with the horsepower I have, but I was definitely significantly down on horsepower and running with people that had only about a second and a half per lap on me, and I think I can find that second and a half this year. So I'm going back there, going to do some little bit of mad scientist work to some of these motors, see what I can find, see if I can push out of them in a different way, and we'll be back out there for 25. Hopefully, setting a few faster lap times than last year, and going harder and mixing it up and rubbing elbows again.
I love it. The mad scientist. I love that. That's freaking amazing. So how do you prepare for a race? Everybody has their own little thing that they do. Do you have any like superstitions? Left boot on before your right boot, breathing? How do you do it?
I try to get alone for about 5 minutes and have like 5 minutes of solitude. I try to stretch. I try to throw on like my favorite song, just kind of get in my own head, forget about where I'm at. And when the song's over and I'm dressed, ready, suits up, visors, helmets on, visors up, ready to go, earplugs are in, um, walk out, look for the bike, ask what call we're on, determine my level of readiness, and go.
I love it. And what's your favorite song you listen to when you prepare for battle?
There is no one in particular. It's always depending on the moment. You have to feel the mood. You have to feel where you're at. I've been feeling a lot of Daily Bread and Pretty Lights lately. Artifacts. Those who are out there, you look it up. Those who know what I'm talking about know what I mean.
I love it. I love it. I listen to, music is one of those things where it plays off your emotions and your temperament. Whatever you're feeling at that day, whatever energy you have, those are the type of songs that suit you. And I listen to all kinds of shit. Or I listen to jazz, I listen to rap, I listen to rock, I listen to you name it. I listen to a little bit of everything. I feel like if you don't open your mind to all these musics out there in different genres, you can't you're holding yourself back in a sort of a way, right? So yeah, it's every me, I've never said this, but me, I like to be calm. I really don't listen to music some. If I do, it's again, it depends on the mood, and I like to listen to like some clips from the movie 300. It just hypes the shit out of me, right? Like woo, oh woo, oh woo. I'm like, that's it, let's go. That's my call right here. And of course, stretching, and I like to do jumping jacks and a couple push-ups, and yeah, just try to clear my mind is as much as you can get it clear. I feel like I have a better time if my mind's clear versus going out there and just, because there's sometimes you can't help it. You think about all kinds of fucking shit out there on the track. Like, what's for dinner tonight? Oh, I forgot to do this shit when I get home. I got to do that, right? We're all guilty of doing that. And the clearer and freer I have my mind, the more fun and the faster I go, right? And that's part of the mental challenge of riding and racing. So let me ask you this. What do you do for a full-time job?
I have two part-time jobs that make up full-time jobs. We'll do that. Um, I work and help out with different race organizations in the area as they come through, and different racers coming up personally. So like I do like a little bit of personal coaching, but I also substitute as a technician at one of my local shops.
I love it. That's awesome. I told you was a legend, Rory. I told you was a legend. And what you do for our sport is absolutely amazing. And thank you. It's awesome to have somebody like you in our beautiful circus. You're one of the ones that really make it go round and round and round and round, right? All the love and support and everything, it's yeah, absolutely. So do you have any pets?
Unfortunately, I am on the road way too much to have a pet, so I found it best to just try to maintain myself and self-care at the moment, because sometimes that's even difficult. I'll be out there on the race weekends and be like, did that already? I don't know. I forget. It's race time. Doesn't worry. Don't worry about it. It's race time. Go time. Go, go, go.
That's it. I love it. I love it. Oh, that's awesome. Have you ever named any of your motorcycles?
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, absolutely.
You really want to know?
Absolutely, I want to know.
All right. Well, since only one of them is really mine, because everybody was kind of pushing the whole anti-liberal agenda of what liberals really want. I named my bike the Liberal Agenda because honestly, I'm liberal as fuck. I'm a raging liberal, yeah. But all I really want to do is go out there and fucking race that goddamn motorcycle. Be in peace, have people be friendly to me, have my family love me, go out and race my motorcycle. That's it. So, Liberal Agenda, that's what I call her.
I love you. Well, I love you, and I know everybody in a beautiful circus loves you. So you got all the love coming to you right now, 100%. That's awesome. And of course, tattoos. I got my Marco Simoncelli, my Ducati. I got a big Rossi one on my back. Do you have any tattoos?
Yes, I do. All right, so we have a little halfway cover up with Audrey from Little Shop of Horrors. Feed me, Seymour, feed me. Okay, and then we have our Ducati line here with our Desmo and such there, and then we have our Alpine Star and our thanks to Olins for all the help they've given me throughout the years. Because Olins has always been there for me. Thank you, Olins. Love you guys. Yeah, that's it for now.
That's it for now, right? I need some more ink work done. Yeah, I need to I got a couple tattoos I got back in the day that I regret getting, and I just need to get them covered up, right? That's the thing about, and let's see, getting tattoos at a young age, you do it because it's cool and you think you're really into it. And then as you get younger, as I call it, you're like, oh, that was fucking stupid. I made a dumb mistake, so I'm in the middle of getting a whole sleeve done to myself when I have the money, because it is expensive. So yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. So let me ask you this. Are you a coffee drinker?
Ooh, if I'm drinking coffee, it's got to be like some sweet ass latte, extra shot of espresso, that sort of diva girl drink. Yeah, I can do coffee, but it's got to be like, shit
Strong.
coffee.
Yeah, that's my wife. She's sugar, and I'm like, it tastes like a Snickers. I don't want my coffee to taste like a Snickers, right? Like, come on. I mean, that's all this flavored coffees does. I was like, I mean, the peppermint mocha is because I like peppermint and I like chocolate. So yeah, that's cool. But yeah, the almond joys and all that. It's like you're not drinking coffee. You're drinking like a type of chocolate milk, so to speak. Different flavor added to it, right? But I'm an espresso guy, so
With a couple shots of espresso, it makes it all good because then you get that, hit of that
jolt.
It's almost like a nicotine jolt. You get so much caffeine. It's like, whoa.
Absolutely. So tell us something we do not know about Rory Brown.
There's a lot y'all don't know, and I'm not about to just start opening Pandora's. Ask questions, take questions from somebody. You dig in your mind to find something, but I don't know. I'll give you something here. All right. I'm also a massage therapist.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah. Right before I went to college, and then shortly dropped out to race motorcycles. Right before then, I actually graduated from massage school because kind of had that 6 months of I don't know what to do in life when I got out of high school, and I went to massage school. So I graduated high school with like 15 or 18 college credits, machinist being one of them. and then I went directly into massage school for a little while, and then I went to sports medicine for a few years. So I got a college, or most of my college paid for. I had like 3/4 of a degree to go to one of our local schools as a sports medicine um, major. And I did that for 2 years until once again met Steve, who encouraged me like totally a great role model would to drop out of college and go race motorcycles.
I love it, man. I love it. Yes, absolutely. He's like, you don't need that, Roy. Just let's just go to the track. Forget that.
He's like,
Love it.
he's like, you can go to school on Monday and there's homework and all that, but I mean, there's racetracks and there's bikes right here, and well, I mean, the car's already in drive if you want. I mean, you gotta. He was very 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 tempting all the time. Yes, I love him so much for all the prompts and all the get going, go out and do it. All the encouragement.
I love it. You ain't got to twist my arm. Okay, I'm in, right? You're right. I can do school on Monday through Wednesday and head to the track on Thursday and the weekends. Yeah, it's absolutely. I love it. I love it. Everybody knows that, man, I listen to a lot of audiobooks. Is that something you do too as well, or do you read?
Last book I read was Ready Player Two.
Was
So
that good?
I like sci-fi and stuff like that, and that's really good. Take off of Ready Player One, the movie.
I haven't seen it. I want to see it.
Okay, so watch Ready Player One, and Ready Player Two is the book that was written right after it. That's probably not going to get made into a movie, but still was fun to read and captivated my thing. Other than that, I read like some parts of my girlfriend's book when she left it out, which was Dune. Got caught up in Dune, but other than that, a shit ton of shop manuals.
Those don't count. Those are love for motorcycles. I'm the same way. The only physical book I read is shop manuals. Other than that, I listen to them. It's funny you just said Dune because I just watched part 1 and part 2 of Dune, which was they were great movies. Hoping 3's going to come out and pick up where the story left off, where the war was getting ready to really take place and kick in. And I love I'm a big sci-fi guy too. And when you listen to the books, it gets so much more depth into the story because there's only so much you can tell on a 2-hour movie, right? Nobody really wants to sit in a 3.5-hour movie.
And yeah.
So having part 1 and part 2, it's yeah, it's absolutely amazing. So let me ask you this. What is your worst habit?
Worst habit. Consistency, that self-doubt, always trying to question if I'm, pushing myself hard enough. Have I pushed myself too hard? Trying to find that fine line in life. Um, I try to find. I try to look at life that like we only get one go around. So go as hard as you can, give it all you got. But I also know that you start pushing yourself too hard, you're going to be missing a lot of opportunities because you'll be in the hospital healing up from things. So to weigh the balance and weigh the difference and trying to find how to maximize every time, moment, session the best you can, whether it be on the track, whether it be with family. Um, that's the toughest thing.
Yeah, it's life is just like motorcycle racing. It's such a mental game. It's always a give and a take, right? Just like there's no perfect setup on a motorcycle. It does not exist, people. It's always a give and a take with a setup on a motorcycle. It's never perfect. It'll be close to the way it makes you feel, but it's still not perfect, right? Life's not perfect. So it's all a give and take and juggling act. And it is, when we're young growing up, our life's this, we think we got all the time in the world, and really we got this much time, so it's be happy, be healthy, love, and yeah, let's go. Right. It's that's how I look at it anyway. As far as podcasts go, do you listen to any podcasts?
There was a couple like Night Vale I used to listen to back in the day. That was a good one. Some horror ones, some darker comedy, weird stuff that helps put you to sleep. Yeah, I listened to a few of those, but like nothing for long term. I really work too much. I spend too much time working that by the time I get home, it's all I can do just to cook dinner, maybe get a half hour of TV or music time in before like, I go to bed. And if sometimes like I want to go out like that night, it's almost like I have to like call in work and like take a half a day off so that way I can like, do all the things I still need to do, make time and get ready because, well, not about to let racing suffer. You gotta still have time to prep the race bikes and get everything going there. So if I gotta take off something, it's gotta be take off work.
Yeah, listen, I hear you. I love it. I love it. It's motorcycles. When you fall deeply in love with them, it consumes us. It consumes me. It consumes you. It consumes everybody listening to this. It consumes everybody at the track, and it's hard to come home and switch that off and focus on other things that you got to accomplish. I know you took that big deep breath. I feel you. I'm with you 100%. And it's a juggling act, it really is. So you're big into sci-fi. I'm big into sci-fi. Are you a Star Wars or a Star Trek?
Oh, World Wars. Star Wars, definitely.
What Star Wars character would you be?
Oh, I haven't even thought about that one long enough to give that considerate thought. I would probably be Princess Analea's double. The double, the one that, everyone thought was the real queen, but like just played it cool for a little bit and they're like, okay, there you go. None of the pressure, none of the decision makings, all the nice living and treatment and pampering, but yet none of the responsibilities.
I love it. That's the first time I've ever had that answer, and I absolutely love it. It's good. That's good. It's a good answer. Absolutely good. So let me ask you this. If you had your own private track day and you can invite 3 people in the world, dead or alive, Valentino Rossi, Giacomo Agostini, whoever it is, what 3 people you bring into your track day?
Barry Sheen.
Love it.
Casey Stoner. And don't hate me for this, but Anthony Gobert, because boys had a bad rap, but he's a god on 2 wheels.
Always one of my favorites. Gobert. I actually got a Go Show helmet right here. And I got a signed poster from him when he was on the Vance and Hines Ducati with Ben Bostrom. That was in 1999, the last year of Phoenix International Raceway that they showed up.
I met him a few times. I met Gobert. He's an awesome guy.
He was
really humble and really like down to earth and talked to like anyone else. Like we always say, like our heroes are like very much just like us, and he really was. He just like just seemed real normal.
He did seem normal. And he had this. I'm a big energy guy. He had this unique, happy love aura about him that I haven't really felt since I've met him. Because every individual has a different presence. And go ahead.
He was just chill, just like
He was
chill.
And really enjoyed the casual conversations and not so much the race talk. He was absolutely amazing. And I always say that he was one of the most talented people that's ever thrown a leg over a motorcycle in the history of road racing. He was just magical of what he did with those motorcycles. So yeah, big shout out to Anthony and Aaron Gobert and the whole Gobert family. You guys are absolutely proper mega, and man, we miss Anthony. Absolutely miss the shit out of Anthony. I catch myself many hours on YouTube and all that rewatching some of those old races. It's
that was actually highlights of my career too, is to be owning that Muzzy Raptor bike. I had one of his fork legs and a lot of his extra parts from Rob Muzzy's day. So it was quite a hero's moment for me to look down and actually see that I was owning the stuff that my hero was racing back in the day. And I'm like, holy crap, how the fuck did this happen? Excuse my language.
Yeah, you're good. You can cuss. Absolutely. I fucking cuss too.
But I was literally like taken back for so long. That was probably some of the stuff, if I could just get out of the head of like, the ideological side of like, riding my hero's bike and riding this, whatever, might have done better. But there's way too much in my head going through those first year or two of road racing that honestly, that's kind of why I do it now is there was nothing around to help teach young road racers back in like the early or the late 90s, like, 98, 99. I mean, we had race schools, but we didn't have like a lot of coaching, and a lot of it wasn't emphasized back then. I mean, you had certain people that got taken under certain people's wings, and you had mentors and you had things like that. But it wasn't a way for like, the average person that's not been in the sport and doesn't know anybody to like come in and get a good direction and head start on how to get to their goals. And after seeing that for so long, like, I'm glad the sports industry is, it's really taken a change, and that's why I want to be part of that whole school teaching student instructor program, because I think there needs to be a lot more talent brought out that we haven't discovered yet.
100%. And that's why I'm a big advocate. And I love everybody at SFL Mini GP, Jersey and South Florida. They are, I tell people, man, they are the best that we have in the United States as far as program goes, as far as, you want to get your kid into racing, or you're a racer that wants to develop your skills even further. I mean, that's where, dude, Gus Radio, Brandon Posh, AV Dreyer, Ella Dreyer, Isaac Woodworth. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Of all our future legends of our sports are coming from, and it's absolutely amazing to see. And what I love about the program is it's a no bullshit program. What I mean by that is you fucking register and show up. You don't have to have a bike, boots, gloves, leathers, nothing. They provide everything for you. Of course, if you don't have that, which I recommend, go to bisontrack.com, get your custom suit started. But I'm just saying, there's no other program like that in the world. You go to any other race school, you got to have your own helmet and your boots and your gloves and your leathers and all that. You show up there and it's, yeah, let's go. And anybody can do it. I don't care if you're 70 years old and you always wanted to drag your knee. SFL Mini GP, let's freaking go. It's yeah, an amazing program and the best we have here in America. And I'm glad that Moto America and them actually got together, and I think they're gonna do the last 3 rounds, if I'm not mistaken. Man, I should have done a little bit more research on that before I said, but yeah, they're actually within. So let's fucking go, people. Absolutely. As far as like watching any series on TV or anything, are you currently watching anything that's good that you can recommend to people?
Gotta say, I don't watch too much TV.
Okay.
I'm kind of a movie buff. I stick to music and movies. So like, I do like cult classic movies. Anything that's like IFC related, underground, whether it be like Animal House and weird stuff like that, Blues Brothers, all the way up to I don't know, whatever stupid crap we got on nowadays.
Right, the stupid shit we got on TV nowadays. Absolutely, you're right. They don't make movies like they used to. That's for sure. Well, tell everybody, what's one of your favorite classic movies that you recommend for somebody, Scott, you have to watch this movie?
Oh, well, let's see. SLC Punk, classic movie. Anyone
Absolutely.
you got to go down that road and watch that. That'll bring you some character into your life and change a little bit who you are. I'll go out and throw this. I was an extra in a movie, so you got to watch that one. 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. It's kind of like a dark humor one. It's got some Woody Harrelson, Peter Dinklage, and Sam Rockwell in it. Oh, speaking of Sam Rockwell, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Gotta love that.
Great movie.
There's my top 3 right there.
I love it. I've watched, well, I haven't watched that one, but I would definitely check the one out that you was in. 110%. Obviously we're lovers of racing, right? And all things racing. Do you currently watch like MotoGP, BSB, Alaman TT?
I do. I follow them all a little bit. I tend to try to keep up with BSB more than anything, just because I really like the rules they have. I love the no traction control, the just power to the ground, ride it like it used to be sort of style. I applaud their series heavily. Same token, obviously, all the World Series, whether it be World Superbike, MotoGP, World Super Sport 300 class, I try to catch as much of that as I can. Usually that's like clips on YouTube, but I'm always trying to stay up with it. I'm very happy to see the progress that our riders are making from America through those classes.
110%. And I tell everybody, you can go to BennettSbrittSuperbike.com and watch the 2025 season for free on their website. Everybody knows that listens to this podcast that knows me. BSB is absolutely my favorite production race series in the world. Exactly what you just said. It's not because, they're better than we are. The tracks are better than our tracks. It has nothing to do with that. It's all solely down to they're racing 240 horsepower motorcycles with no fucking traction control, no anti-wheelie. It's old school, proper way of racing to where you change your riding style as the tire wears and it's bucks and it moves. You listen, they don't depend on any of that. And that's what I love about BSB. It's absolutely amazing, right? And I tell people this, you hear everybody wants how much horsepower does that thing make? Well, let's say it makes 250 horsepower. They're not putting 250 horsepower to the ground. They tone down the traction. I mean, they tone down the torque and the horsepower to do faster lap times. So we don't need 240 horsepower motorcycles. I mean, let's just be honest. It sounds cool, right? And it's cool. It's just like a MotoGP bike. They probably push in 300 horsepower, but they're not using 300 horsepower at any track that they're on, not even in the straights. So, yeah, our tires wouldn't be able to cope for it. No way.
We're already things on rims and trying to figure out new ways to keep those things from spinning. And I'm sure we're having the same problem at MotoGP level.
100%. So let me ask you this. Are you into any other sports? Do you watch, I like soccer, so I watch soccer. Do you watch like football or baseball or any of that shit?
I occasionally watch some football. Right now, Cleveland Cavaliers are doing pretty good, so I've been watching a little bit of their basketball. We've been on first or second in the runnings right now, so I'm kind of like curious to see how we're going to play out. Gotta love team spirit for your hometown. Can't say no to that.
Nah, I'm a Los Angeles Raiders fan because of my boy Bo Jackson back in the day. Right, damn, I just gave away my age again. That and of course Jordan and Chicago Bulls. Right, I mean, how can you not love Chicago Bulls with Michael Jordan? I don't really watch them. I will like peep out the Super Bowl. My buddy is a real big Baltimore Ravens fan. He just went to the Ravens game last night, and the next time the Raiders come to Baltimore to play the Ravens, I will go because I've never been to a real football game. And yeah, why not support your team you grow up, liking your whole life? But I don't keep up with the stats. I don't give a shit, right? Glad to hear Detroit Lions actually doing good. So if anybody's going to win the Super Bowl, I would love to see Detroit win just because they never fucking won before, right? So let's go on that front. People might give me shit. Don't give a shit. So that's just me and what I think. Listen, we're already a little over an hour into this. I know there's so much more that me and you talked about that we had not touched base on during this podcast, but that's the beauty of podcasting. Me and you got to sit down many more times together and do this right here the whole time. So just stay on with me for a few minutes when I end this podcast, and we'll go ahead and schedule our part 2. I do have a couple more questions real quick that I do want to ask you. One of them is, if you had one superpower, what's the one superpower Roy Brown would have?
Power to read minds.
I don't know if you'd really want that one. I don't know if I'd really want that one either. I'd be like, teleportation. I think that'd be pretty cool. Because then I could just be like, I'm going to Laguna Seca. See you guys. Boom, I'm there. Like, boom, that's it, right? I'm good. And then I don't have to pay for hotel or travels because I could just boom and be right in my bedroom, take a shower and go to bed. And then boom, right back to wherever, BSB or MotoGP. But reading minds would be kind of cool.
That certainly has a thing. Yeah, sorry. I'm more maniacal with my decision,
Yeah.
For all sorts of things. And then I can figure out how to get to the track after that because I'll find out who's going from my mind reading.
Right. I love it. That's awesome. So 2 more questions. What's your spirit animal?
Lemur. Little curious little lemur.
Love it. I love it. Last question before we give all our shouts outs. Currently right now, if Roy Brown had a Moto America Superbike team, what's the one manufacturer you would have, and who's the 2 current riders you would ride for you on that team? And it could be anybody in the paddock. It could be from the Talent Cup to the Superbike series. any two riders, and your manufacturer.
Okay. Well, I'm a little bit partial to the Ducati, so I don't know how the new 25 is going to do, but I imagine rather well. So I'm going to say factory Ducati, and I would love to see Isaiah Davis, easy on one ride,
That's
and
my dude.
Riston some lessons from Easy because I think those two could be a dynamic duo if you put them together. They're both right about the same level, right can push each other about that same level, but definitely a lot of talent between the two of those riders.
Oh, and I love them both. They're really good friends of mine, and their energies are a lot close together, right? As when you talk to them individually, you get that same energy level from them both, like the same frequency, right? It's yeah, they're both amazing riders. My answer to that question would be, and I got so many friends that ride in the paddock and race all around the world. I would love to put everybody on a bike, but off the top of my head, I tell everybody factory Kawasaki. Yes, I'm a Ducati lover, right? But we need Team Green back in the paddock, right? We already got Ducati, so Team Green, and I would put my man B Posh and SDK on the factory superbike team in Moto America. You know, if we was to talk about Twins Cup or Super Sport and all that, of course I would.
So they have those two as well. They feed off each other. Yeah,
I think they would pair well together. You know, they're even though Brandon's energy is different than SDK, but to me, kind of personalities are almost kind of on the same level. And I think, you know, sometimes that's what makes the best team. It's not the energies that match the best. It's the people that can push each other to that next level, into that next height, and still remain positive the whole time. You know, it's when riders lose that, they don't necessarily lose it. You just get lost sometimes. And then it affects you, you know, and it affects everybody else around you too. So every time I see Brandon, it's nothing but loves and hugs, and SDK too. And man, all my friends in the paddock, it's absolutely amazing and an honor. Well, Rory, this has been absolutely a lot of fun. I was so looking forward to this. I'm glad we got to sit down today on this beautiful Sunday and do this part one of mini podcast me and you're going to do. I'm gonna actually let you end the podcast as I let all my friends end it. But before I let you take control, I just want to say thanks to everybody that watches and likes this podcast. It blows my mind, and it's an absolute honor for every single one of you guys and girls. And if you have not yet, please go to my YouTube and Spotify and all that. Hit that like and that bell and all that good stuff. Thanks to all my friends that are in the industry that support me. You know, Next Level Financial, bisontrack.com for your full leather. Chef Eats, the best meals in the industry. You just show up to the track, put it in a microwave for 3 minutes and 30 seconds, and it's healthy. It's good. Feeds your soul. It makes you fast, right? So TST Industries, big shout out to them. The Clothing Kings, you guys can go to theclothingkings.co.uk and get your Pin to Gas podcast merch. I got some questions about that. My soft shell jacket, that's exactly where it came from. We linked up together really early days of the podcast when I took it over. So they've been a huge supporter. So thank you guys so much. Superbike Supply, SFL Mini GP, RD Racing, and my man Jake Marsh, Vet2 Track, Flying Eyes Optics, 64 Degree Racing, Ghetto Customs, Carnes Performance, KYT Helmets America, K-Tech Suspension, big shout out to Birch, Kendall, and Dakari, RTR Ready to Race in North Carolina, Coleman Power Sports here in Virginia, McLeo Escapes, Track and Tour, Road Racing World. I need everybody to go to roadracingworld.com, go to the fund, donate. It helps us out. It helps all my friends out racing because we need the air fences. If we didn't have the air fences, the corner marshals, or the ambulance, none of us are going to the track or doing anything. So it's super important. You guys go donate. I don't care. It's $5. I don't care. Whatever. Every little bit helps. And if you show up at a Moto America track, I forget what it is, or maybe you know, I think it's the minimum donation to get a 2-up ride with the legend Chris Ulrich is $350 or $400. I can't remember. But if you show up to a Moto America event, you donate, you can climb on the back of that GSXR 1000, and yeah, he'll show you really what it's like to deep break and get on the gas early and power out, and you'd be like, holy shit, sitting on the back of this thing. I've never been on the back. So Chris, if you're listening, I would love to get that 2-up ride one day. So yeah, let's go. But Rory, tell everybody where they can find you, where they can get some coaching lessons and the whole nine.
All right. Well, shout out to Fast Tracks Race School out at Nelson's Ledges. All the crew at Nelson's Ledges. Where I'll be spending a lot of time this summer. Also, shout out to Arma. Thanks for all the hospitality. I look forward to seeing you back again here. Wes at Blueprint Graphics. Thanks for all the details. Where else are we going with this? We have Brandon Krisu at KYT Helmets for all the protection, all the safety gear. It's wonderful to know that I can push it to the limit and have my my noodle protected as much as possible. Thanks for all the support. Mystery Motorsports, Northeast Ohio. Come down and see us. That's where I'll be working at. Other than that, I'll see you at the track, and I look forward to another day and another show.
Absolutely. Let's go. Well, listen, again, it's been an absolute honor to sit down and have this chat. I cannot wait for part 2. So you guys stay tuned, and I hope every single one of you, your Sunday and this week coming up is as proper mega as you are. Remember, put out the love, put out the good energy, smile, and let's fucking go, people. Again, so yeah. Rory, is there any one last thing you want to say before I end the podcast?
I appreciate you having me on. Thanks for inviting me here, Simcoe. Have a great day.
Absolutely. The honor is all mine. Just down with me for 1 second. And you people, you're listening, all my friends, I love every single one of you guys and girls. You are the reason why I'm here. And I don't know what else to say. It's an absolute honor. Nothing but love. So let's go. All right. Let me end this.
Calling all two-wheel enthusiasts, get ready to rev up your earbuds with Pin the Gas Podcast, the ultimate motorcycle racing podcast, hosted by Chris Simcoe, one of our very own excellent leaders here in Roanoke, Virginia. With expert analysis, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive writer interviews, Pin the Gas Podcast delivers the adrenaline rush of the racetrack straight to your ears. Whether you're a diehard fan or a curious newcomer, you'll gain insights that will transform how you watch and understand motorcycle racing. On your favorite podcast app, join Simcoe as he takes you on a high-speed journey through the world of motorcycle racing. Pin the Gas Podcast.